This episode is brought to you by our sponsor, Eldorado Gaming. Eldorado Gaming is your site for gifts and gaming accessories like dice, playmats, and other items to bling out your games. Use the promo code META for 10% off your order. Find us on YouTube at Eldorado Gaming TX or our home site at eldoradogaming.com. Here at My Mythical Meta, we talk about gaming with friends and strangers, resolving conflicts, and keeping game nights fun, interesting, and recurring. Our game of choice is Magic the Gathering, but our hope is that what we share is relevant for board gamers, RPG groups, video gamers, and maybe even your poker night. I'm Travis, and with my brother Benjamin and my friends Derek and Randy, we've been playing Magic together since 2014. The secret to a healthy meta is not in the game you play, it's being good friends. Subscribe to My Mythical Meta, presented by Eldorado Gaming, wherever you get your podcasts. Welcome back to My Mythical Meta by Eldorado Gaming. My name is Travis, and I'm joined this week by the entire Meta crew. I've got Benjamin.
Hello.
I've got Derek.
Hey.
I've got Randy.
Heyo.
The whole crew is here, and this week our topic is conventions. This episode is going to come out on August 28th, and Eldorado Gaming will be at GalaxyCon Austin on September 1st. We'll have dice, playmats, other accessories, and you can meet all of us at GalaxyCon in Austin. We will all be there on Saturday, September 2nd. But before we get into this week's topic, we need an update from Derek. Last time you were on the pod, you said that you were going to start playing pickleball. How'd it go?
So since I mentioned that, I have played half a dozen times now. I don't know, maybe like 7 times.
Wow.
I love it.
That is
Can't
a
get
lot
enough
of
of it.
times.
I would be playing right now if I could. I need some of y'all to get into it so I can play more often.
It seems like Foursquare with rackets.
Yeah, or like Fat Boy Tennis or something where it's less running. It's a lot of fun.
Randy, you live in the same neighborhood as Derek, so I think it's up to you.
Oh, man.
I don't know if we have any nearby tennis courts here. I have to go find something.
I mean,
That beautiful neighborhood doesn't have tennis courts?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Well, we got some tennis courts that are painted for pickleball in my neighborhood. Y'all can come on over.
Okay, there we go. So,
Benjamin's like, yes, they're finally driving all the way to me.
Right? Man, I've got a great gaming table, and y'all haven't used it.
You're just so far away.
I know.
Not for me, but for them.
Yeah, that's why I keep driving to them. Wait a second.
hold up. That first time I played, we must have played maybe 30, 45 minutes. And it was still like maybe 6:30 or 7 or something like that. So the heat was still at 98 degrees. And after that first game, I thought I was dying. I had to sit down, drink a ton of water, just huffing and puffing. But now I could play. I just played on Tuesday, and I think we played 3 games. And I just went nonstop. I think I even forgot to drink water.
How long does each game take?
Now that we're getting better, each game probably takes maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
I don't have a watch, so it could be up or down, but I think I don't know, it just depends on how often you got to run for the ball and how much you talk and all that stuff.
Right, that makes sense.
Let me say 25. I feel like 20 is too little.
So who's your main partner that you're playing with?
My sister-in-law, actually.
Okay, you're playing with Kayla?
Yeah, we meet up halfway. Sometimes Liv plays with us. Sometimes my niece plays with us. Sometimes she doesn't. And then Kayla's got a friend also who's starting to join. She's got the pickleball bug now.
That's awesome.
We have a group chat that I called Pickleball and Shot Colin. And I thought it was so funny.
Hey, you have to start a group chat. I'm telling you.
Yeah,
If you want your friend group to last, you got to start a group chat.
It's right from our first episode.
Well, Derek, that's awesome. I'm glad that it's working out, and I'm glad that you're having a lot of fun. I don't remember if this made it into a past episode, but Clayton Eckerd, former Bachelor, is going to be hosting a pickleball competition show this fall. So pickleball is making its way into the mainstream.
You know, the first time I heard about it was on an episode of Shrinking, where the name pickleball sounds like some kind of made up thing. It sounds ridiculous.
Yeah, it sounds stupid.
And it's every time they mention it, it's like it's America's fastest growing sport. So now every time people ask me how it's going, it's like it's great. It's America's fastest growing sport.
Now you automatically have a talking point to go with it.
Yeah,
I feel like that's our future. Our future. We're just gonna become a pickleball podcast.
Oh,
we're just gonna pivot real hard.
So Derek, we're gonna take your group chat's name, and our podcast will be Pickleball and Shot Colin.
There you go. If it's America's fastest growing sport, we could be America's fastest growing podcast.
Yeah, surely there aren't any podcasts about pickleballing yet.
Oh,
what would you talk about?
How it's the fastest growing
strategy, the meta, the ever changing pickleball meta,
the ever changing strategy, fitness,
how to find friends to play pickleball with,
groups, absolutely.
Right, discussing what kind of game you want to play.
Whether you're there to play, whether you're there to win or to just have fun and run.
I don't think there's a whole lot of running.
Ran into some people. We went on an off day, and apparently we play on Tuesdays, but we went on a Wednesday, and there was like a whole group of people there. They were like, "Oh yeah, come use our nets, come hang out. We're here every Monday or every morning. We'll teach you anything you want to know." So that was really cool.
Wow, that's awesome!
Yeah.
Meeting some new people. Make sure to add them to your group chat.
Yeah. You know, it's so funny because like there are like a lot of old people that are playing it. Apparently, the friend Kayla's friend, she was saying that I think insurance claims for people like hurting themselves from pickleball is like skyrocketing
Shooting through
right
the
now.
roof.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
That is so funny.
Okay, the all important question: if you had an invitation, if you received 2 text messages in your 2 group chats, one from us saying, "Hey, we want to go play Magic," and one from Kayla saying, "Hey, let's play pickleball," which would you choose?
Oof, and I couldn't do both.
I mean, can you play Magic while you play pickleball?
Well, I don't know. I maybe in between once we get into.
If I tried,
I guess for the first time, I'd be willing to try it.
Yeah. I play my turn real quick, and then I jump in, play a couple volleys, and.
I mean, if Randy's in the game, you'll have time to play.
Yeah.
Pickleball.
I was gonna say I don't like how long it's taking you to make a decision between
right,
us and them. I guess our meta. Are we wrong to be doing this podcast?
Listen, it's America's fastest growing sport. I don't know what y'all want from me.
We want your loyalty.
We want you to choose the world's most complicated game over America's fastest growing sport.
Fastest growing to me just means a fad.
Yeah, it means it's really, really small, and it got to medium size.
The bell bottoms of sports.
I'm gonna be just getting into it, and everyone will be leaving. It's like, oh, you're still playing pickleball? Play tennis like man.
Derek.
Forgot where I was.
First beep of the day. All right, we're talking about conventions this week. We have got an upcoming convention. We are going to GalaxyCon Austin, September 1st through 3rd. So we're going to talk this week about what conventions are, how you can go, and how you and your friends, anybody you go with, can have a great time. There are conventions for lots of hobbies and interests, and there are even professional conventions. Benjamin was telling us before the podcast even started that as PD starts for the school year, he's doing a convention-like atmosphere for work. Benjamin, tell us a little bit about that.
First, just for anybody not in the education circuit, PD stands for Professional Development. Yeah, our district is putting on district-wide convention-like setting to do training for all the teachers in the district. And being here in Houston, Houston is, I think, the 4th largest school district in the country. It's gigantic.
I think so.
We have 247 campuses. We have nearly 200,000 students and a couple thousand teachers. And it was crazy, right? There's the parking, there's the expensive food, there's the walking all over this giant convention center trying to get to different sessions, and a chance to learn and a chance to see people from all over, people with a similar interest, or in this case profession, that maybe you only get to see a couple times a year at things like this. So despite the fact that it's work and it's a learning environment where people are serious, it's actually still kind of fun, right? And conventions in general, I've been to conventions for all sorts of things. I've been to oil and gas conventions for my legal work. I've been to obviously lots of nerd conventions. I mean, popular culture conventions.
That's what we call it now, Benjamin. We are the mainstream now.
It's true. The nerds have taken over.
Yeah.
I know I haven't been to one, but I've actually I think I mentioned fantasy baseball in a previous episode. They have every year during spring training, a bunch of baseball nerds get together in Florida to have a giant sabermetrics convention. Sabermetrics is the nerdy part of baseball, and that seems like an incredible thing to go do. I've been to board gaming conventions, I've been to Magic conventions, and I've been to several general pop culture conventions, and they're all, no matter whether it's professional, whether it's focused on a specific hobby or it's more general, conventions are always a good time, and you can learn a lot, whether it's for fun or for work. It's a cool activity.
Absolutely. Benjamin and I were talking before our recording about a Star Trek convention that Mom took us to, and it was with our grandparents and our aunt, so it was a big family event, and it was just all Star Trek people. So we have our Comic Palooza here in Houston where you'll see a few Star Trek things around. This convention was all Star Trek. There were Klingons just walking around the con acting like they're security guards. And every single booth was devoted to Star Trek in some way. Randy and I last year, was that in the spring? We went to that anime convention?
Yeah, I think so. It was around then.
I think it was March-ish, right?
March or April.
Yeah. So that one was really fun. And again, it was a little more focused, a little smaller, but still a great place to meet people who are interested in whatever that topic is. That's all conventions are, is places where people interested in a topic can gather in order to share their interest. They're going to promote whatever that interest is, and a lot of people are going to use that as a space to sell their material. If they've created something that goes with that topic, then they're going to attend conventions and try to sell their product. So our focus in this podcast is going to be mostly comic, gaming, anime, pop culture convention stuff, because that's what we're into, and those are the types of conventions that Eldorado Gaming goes to, because that's our target audience. But the basics of what we talk about today will probably be true for just about any type of convention you attend. So here we go. We're going to get started on some basic tips for attending any type of convention, and we hope that you guys can make it to GalaxyCon Austin. First tip, wear comfortable shoes. Right, Derek?
Yes.
Was it you who wore flip-flops to Comic Palooza that one time?
I don't know if it was Comic Palooza, but I definitely wore flip-flops to Mardi Gras. And oh my God, I thought my feet were bleeding by the end of the day. I couldn't walk anymore.
Yeah, you got to wear comfortable shoes. Whatever your Skechers, tennis shoes, memory foam, whatever you've got, because you're going to be on your feet the whole time. I still remember going to the Renaissance Festival in like these really tight leather boots that I used to have, because they went so well with my pirate costume. But every year since then, I was like, screw it. I'll just wear my pirate outfit with tennis shoes.
Yeah, so let me tell you,
it's just not worth it.
I found these boot covers, or they're designed to make any shoes look like pirate boots. I still have them.
Ooh,
I think
nice.
I think if you look at old pictures of us at Renaissance Festival when we went with Brooke and Kristen, and we're all dressed as pirates.
Then?
I had those then. Yeah,
cool.
Because wearing leather boots at a convention is terrible. Don't do it.
Yeah, like no matter how great it makes your costume or outfit or cosplay look, you're going to be on your feet for a very long time unless you have such high mental discipline and you decide I'm only going to be here for 2 hours. But I've never had that experience at a con. When I go, I spend all day long. The second is to bring cash if you can. A lot of convention centers will have an ATM available, so that's really good. But you want to bring cash if you can, so that you're ready to conduct business anywhere. Internet can be unreliable in convention centers. Okay, every single booth has to purchase their internet access individually, and they all have to set it up before the convention begins. Most vendors are going to accept cards, but if their particular internet goes out, or if their card reader doesn't connect or needs to reboot, you're going to want a second option. So make sure that you have cash. Benjamin, talk about food.
Okay, so food at a convention is very expensive. Usually they're going to be in some sort of arena or stadium or convention center, and they know that they have a captured audience. You don't have the option of bringing in outside food usually. And so the food is going to be limited to the vendors that have agreed to be there, and they know that they can jack up their prices. Consider it just like going to a sporting event or something like that,
or an amusement park.
It's the same sort of deal. Now, there's some ways around that. First is many of these things happen in a hotel, and if you happen to be staying in that hotel, just go up to your room and eat something in the microwave, right? Like or order Uber Eats or something to your hotel room. Take a little break from the convention, go eat something at a much more reasonable price, real close by. Another really good option is bringing in snack foods and like shoving it in every, right, I mentioned those things that you could make your shoes look like a boot, stick a granola bar in there, right? And you could get through the day on a few bucks and then go out to eat something nice afterwards. Now, I will admit, I'm a sucker for stadium food, convention food, that sort of thing, and I like it. And it's not because it necessarily tastes good, but I think there's some sort of emotional attachment I have to eating that style of food. And
I agree. It's part of like the atmosphere and the experience.
My wife loves movie popcorn. Like, got to get popcorn when she goes to movies. It's just like it's like part of the experience.
Exactly.
Got to get a $20 large.
Ugh.
Yes. The bucket,
Benjamin's
the refillable bucket. And then I will refill the bucket on my way out and eat it over the next couple days. Because I love it. It's gross. It's bad for you. But for some reason, you could tell me we're going to sneak in your favorite food, and I'll be like, no, I want the popcorn.
Benjamin, you're a weirdo.
And I'll pay $20
macaroni
for it.
by the handful.
So I
fool.
I don't know what it is. So if you're like me, then bring even more money. You're right. Make sure you budget for your conventions and keep track of it.
Whatever you decide to do for food throughout the day, make sure that you have a plan. You don't want to just show up and not know that the food was going to be that expensive. Yeah, so either budget for it or sneak in food or look for deals. At Comic Palooza, sometimes there's a booth that says if you buy a cup from us, you can have soda from us all day.
Yeah,
so look for things like that. Another thing that I've noticed just at the GRB in Houston for Comic Palooza, look for vending machines instead of places run by specific companies. Vending machines can often, and they'll still be a more expensive convention center vending machine, but a $2 Coke from a vending machine is still cheaper than a $6 Coke from Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
I want to add, I don't think you have to like sneak in food. I mean, I guess, every convention is different.
Yeah.
But, I think at the ones we've been to, at NRG, because I remember in the past I've brought in snacks. It may be, I want to say maybe it's like certain like liquid containers.
Yeah, I think so. I think,
but even then, I feel like water. I think even
at our
water, I was able to walk in with.
Oh yeah, most places will.
Yeah,
allow
so
water
you should
bottle.
be able to make some, or just bring some snacks from home and just put it in your backpack.
Yeah, and that brings us right to our next thing. Bring a light backpack or bag if you plan on collecting souvenirs.
Empty.
Yeah, bring it empty or with just the snacks that you can sneak in, hopefully, or if they let the snacks in, that's even better. But yeah, just bring an empty bag that you're ready to use to collect souvenirs. What did you say, Derek?
I said get a good friend. Randy carries all my stuff for me. Even though I never buy anything.
Because Randy will bring his
bring a Sherpa?
his full shoulder backpack.
Yeah.
I was going to say, or just, bring your girlfriend, have him put it on the purse.
Well, then you're stuck carrying the purse.
Not me.
I like bringing a wagon, honestly, and that is one of the perks of having a kid is you can bring a stroller and it doesn't look weird, and you can shove a bunch of stuff in there, and then you make the kid walk and you fill the stroller with all your goodies.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
you do what you got to do.
Sorry, Ezra, you gotta suffer. Benjamin bought a $600 statue of something.
Do keep in mind that a lot of these places, almost all of them, will want to search all the stuff that you bring. And so to keep everybody at the convention safe. And so you got to make sure that your stuff is easy to search.
Yeah.
You mentioned Randy bringing the big shoulder backpack. Don't bring something with 20 pockets because they're going to want to see in those. And it's going to hold up the line.
Holding up the line.
I don't know. If you come later in the day, they don't even care anymore. They're just like, it's good. Yeah, it's good.
I guess they assume that the bad people
they're going to be up
early.
with the sun.
I usually bring like one of those kind of drawstring gym bags. Something that's just super easy. It's got one pocket that you can just easily look into. So that brings us to, if you're talking about collecting souvenirs, then the largest area at most conventions is what will likely be called the dealer floor. These are people who have a product that goes with whatever the convention's focus is. And they're trying to sell their product to the guests. And that's what we'll be doing with Eldorado Gaming. All four of us will be there on Saturday, and we'll be showing off the dice and the playmats and things like that because we think our product is good for those guests. There are people with toys, t-shirts, comics. The variety of vendors is huge. Do you guys want to add anything about vendors?
Yeah, I want to bring back the cash thing you talked about. Many vendors will offer special prices for cash. We did that our first year at Comic Palooza because we don't have to pay our card fees, right? Just like some gas stations have their special cash price. Right. Many vendors will do that too because they're not paying 2 or 3 or 5% to a credit card company or to Shopify or whoever's running their card system. We don't do this, but some vendors might not pay sales tax on the cash price, so they'll offer you that too. So that's something to keep in mind. And something that is really important is to make sure that when you're planning your time at a convention that you plan a lot of time to go look at the vendors. Over the summer, we were at a homeschool convention in Round Rock, and there were speakers every moment of every day. And when we originally set out to go, we planned our schedule packed. And then we suddenly realized, you know what? Let's just skip this and just go spend time shopping. And we ended up skipping like 4 or 5 long sessions so that we could just spend more time in the vendor area because it's fun, it's useful, and it takes a while, right? These are large, like you said, often the largest part of a convention.
Yeah, if souvenirs are a reason you go to cons, that's one of the main reasons that I go. That anime convention, Comic Palooza, that's always my most fun time, is for souvenirs and shopping, especially looking at artists. People create all kinds of art, not just 2D, flat medium, but all types of artwork. Crochet, stickers, origami,
enamel pins,
bookmarks, that 3D kind of vinyl that you can look at and it changes. That stuff that Derek hates.
Is that lenticular? Is that what it's called? Lenticular stuff?
Is that right?
Let me Google.
I don't remember what it's called, but for Derek, that stuff is like nails on a chalkboard.
It's like lightning in my teeth.
So, if souvenirs are a reason you go to cons, then make sure that you set aside that time to browse. And depending on the size of the con that you're at, it can take hours. It can take hours to go from one side of the floor to the next if you're going to go down every aisle. What I like to do is before I go to a con, I'll tell Kristen, okay, I'm looking for artwork of blank. 2 years ago, it was Chewbacca. Last year, it was Seto Kaiba. So that kind of like gives me a focus where if I don't see those things, then I can just kind of glaze over a particular booth. But still, if you want to see everything, then you have to set aside time for everything.
See, that's me. I'm the person that wants to look at, not every booth, I can get a look at something and be like, nah, not for me. But even if it's just like a hint of like, oh, I'll go there and look over everything they have. I'm the slow one in the group that likes to look.
Kristen is sometimes like that too, where she wants to see, every design on every pair of pajama pants available. Stuff like that.
And now that I've got someone to buy stuff for, I'm like, I could look at all this stuff now because maybe it'll be a gift idea.
That's true.
Or something I can buy to annoy her.
Conversely, I'm trying to run through it as fast as possible. I was like,
yeah, Derek's always the one who's really far ahead. Kristen, we don't have the money.
We've been living under a bridge, Kristen. Is that what you want?
If you buy that piece of artwork, we need to get rid
We
of a
are
different
ruined.
piece of artwork.
We only got room for.
We do
one
not
more
have the space in our home for art. If I've learned anything from The Sims, it's that any art will
Set the
do.
background mood, the intent. What is it called? The emotional aura of the room.
Yeah, comfy. Hey, here are some other tips. Look for deals. When you find something that you do like, if that vendor has a website, compare their con prices to that same product online. Or even if it's just something you could get on Amazon, compare the price. They will usually be cheaper at a con than they are if you just buy online. And it's because you aren't paying for any shipping or any online service fees. People are going to cons in order to clear out inventory. They want to do something quick. They want to make a big profit in a big burst over the course of a weekend, especially on the last day of a con. If it's Sunday and you know that the con ends at 5 p.m., do one last round of the dealer floor around 3, because you're going to find a lot more discounts because those vendors don't want to pack that inventory away again. They want to clear stuff out so that their move out of the convention hall is even easier. If you're in the US, you really shouldn't haggle for extra discounts. Vendors have to pay for their booths at conventions. Yeah. So that means they have paid a lump sum price at the beginning with no promise of a profit. They have paid for the booth in the hope that they can recoup those costs and make profit from the other guests. So that vendor has already set the prices for what they think their product's worth and the margin that they need to make profit in order to run their business. So haggling for discounts in the United States, I feel like in the US this is particular. I know that in other cultures, haggling can be a lot more socially acceptable. But I think in the U.S. you really shouldn't.
I want to let people know that our margins are probably not what they think they are. We usually price stuff to move, and if there's going to be, all the stuff you just said, if there's going to be a big discount, we will do it on the last day of a convention. But especially on that last day, if we've priced it to move, that means we're not expecting to make a whole lot on it. A lot of times we're selling it at cost just to get rid of the last few items of a thing.
Just because we don't want to pack it back up and put it back in the car and try to sell it again on the website.
Right, exactly. One thing that I think it is okay to do is ask if they have bundle prices or suggest bundle prices. Right? To say, hey, I'm interested in picking up 10 things. You sell 10 things for, you sell each thing for $25. Can I buy 10 of them for $200? And a lot of times we'll be okay with that because it does represent us moving quite a bit of product, and where we would lose out on margin, we can make up for in volume. But on an individual thing, don't go up and say, wow, that's an awesome set of dice, but I already have too many dice, which of course no one has too many dice. But I already have too many dice. Will you take $10 for them? Because our margins are what they are. We don't really have room to haggle on those things.
So that's what I wanted to talk about on the dealer floor. Just some socially acceptable ways to move around and make sure that you're not the weird guy that the salespeople are talking about afterwards. Look for deals. Compare con prices. You're the consumer here, but don't haggle for discounts instead. Okay. Is there anything, Derek and Randy, that y'all want to add about the dealer floor?
I don't buy stuff. I don't have much to offer. In my experience,
for cool dice from Eldorado Gaming.
That's right.
That's right.
The only thing I did buy. I've seen where they, I don't haggle, but they're like, hey, if you buy this, I'll throw this in for free or at half price or whatever. Mm-hmm. They'll be trying to sweeten the pot.
Exactly. Let the salespeople do the selling. If they are desperate to move something, then they'll come to you with it. I've done that before.
Yeah, all I was going to add was, I guess, don't be nervous to talk to the people that are working there. Whenever I'm on either end of or either side of the table, I really enjoyed talking to the people or the vendors, and sometimes just talking to them might help them find something that maybe you didn't initially see. Like since we do dice and we do a lot of D&D and tabletop gaming stuff, I always ask people, what character are you playing right now? And then it's like, oh, you're playing a rogue. Well, how about these super edgy black and gold dice? Just something that would maybe fit the character. Oh, you're a paladin? How about the consecrated gold?
Yeah. I always love finding people who are playing dwarves because I can point them to those Temple Guardian dice that have that blocky Art Deco feel. It feels like you're in the Mines of Moria.
Yeah, so I enjoy talking to the people, and I enjoy talking to, as a customer, talking to the vendor. I imagine it helps kind of break up their day of just people kind of mindlessly walking by sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always a lot of fun to talk to people.
And sometimes you see the same people over and over at conventions, and you start to, oh yeah, I saw you a couple years ago. And
I usually try not to make eye contact with anybody, but I did. Brady and I both stopped and talked to Matt Frank for a while, the guy who does a lot of Godzilla art.
Awesome
dude.
The
artist for Godzilla, right?
Yeah, does a lot of the comic books. Yeah, I think he's probably the biggest one.
That's true, especially if you go down to the artist end of the vendor area. Some places like Comic Palooza will separate them. Other conventions I've gone to, they're all mixed together. The artists love to talk about their work and to have their stuff admired and to get feedback and stuff like that. Obviously, they prefer making a sale, but if it's not super busy for them and you go up and talk to them about pieces they've done or things like that, they enjoy that. Now, obviously, if they're busy, don't step in to talk about it if you don't plan to buy also. But I've talked to so many artists or have them as personal friends who love to be involved in that sort of thing. And artists are in it for the money and the joy of the hobby or the profession, right? Art is a calling. And so if you find people who make stuff, they're really interested in talking about it. I think at the last convention, our mom bought a nativity scene of all things. And it's just not something you would expect to find at a convention, but this person
definitely
had gone to the person had gone to Israel and gone to all these different places, and then the only reason I know that is because that artist told our mom, right? She was telling her story of where she'd come from and what she's done and all this different stuff, and got to share her experience and her inspiration with the audience. It is something to do, and we do the same thing as Randy was talking about, right? You come up and talk to us, even if you don't buy. Some of my favorite experiences is people coming and showing off their costumes, telling us about their games, stuff like that. Just seeing the looks on people's faces when they see our dice or hear our dice, even if they don't buy, is still a satisfying experience. So come talk to us.
Yeah, I met an artist there at this past year that I'm probably going to go get a tattoo from later on.
Ooh, that's awesome.
I was drawn in by their stickers. They had Berserk stuff, and I was like, ooh, yes, Berserk. And I had just gotten my first Berserk tattoo, and she had a Berserk tattoo across her chest. And she was like, oh, yeah, I'm a tattoo artist. Follow her on Instagram, and I plan to eventually go there and get a tattoo from her.
That brings us next to one of the huge drawing points of conventions is celebrities and cosplayers. It can be so exciting to see famous people and people who have dressed up and become all of your favorite characters walking around. One of my great joys working in the dealer floor is because the dealer floor is where cosplayers hang out. The cosplayers are going to do as much shopping as everybody else is, so you're going to get a pretty good glimpse at all of the outfits and stuff. And at the con we have worked at so far in the past, the celebrities are usually on the same floor. Knowing that you're always in the same room as all of these really cool people is really exciting. Here are a couple tips for interacting with celebrities and cosplayers. Remember first that celebrities and cosplayers are human beings. They don't owe you anything, right? So be kind and respectful and no touching. No touching.
Oh my God, please don't touch other people.
Do not touch other people without their consent. Just, if you are struggling with that instinct, put your hands in your pockets or clasp your hands behind your back. Do not touch anybody unless they come in first. Whenever I met Peter Mayhew the original actor for Chewbacca, he held out his hand, ready to handshake me. So that's how I knew that it was okay. Derek, I remember you getting a picture with Charlie Hunnam.
Yeah, me and the Christians took a picture with Charlie Hunnam. It was great.
Were you all touching or doing any side hugging or anything like that?
Yeah, we were all kind of in a side hug.
Yeah. So
situation. Call me boss. Did my day.
Derek will never forget. So no
I wear
touching,
like a badge of pride,
unless the celebrity comes in first or the cosplayer and seems obviously like ready or prepared for it, or if they initiate it. For example, if like a cosplayer as the alien from the Alien franchise, if he like comes in to grab your head and you're okay with that, you can go with that. But otherwise, just don't touch, because they are human beings.
One caveat: you can ask for permission. You say,
Yes.
Hey, do you mind if I take a picture? Do you mind if I hug you or whatever? Just be prepared to respect their wishes and don't push
Absolutely.
it if they say no.
Do not push or gripe or grumble if they say, no, I don't do that.
Yeah. Also, just be careful, because you don't know how delicate their costumes can be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some could be holding on by a hope and a dream.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. So. People with like fairy wings and things like that, or horns on their head, or pointy ears. All of those things could just be, spirit glue that's on its last legs.
Whenever I've only done cosplay twice now, but everyone that wanted a picture, I was happy to take a picture with. It is like a different kind of high you get just walking around, and people like freak out and they're like, "Oh my god!" and they want to take pictures with you. So,
oh my god, it's Jason!
Yeah, most of them are going to want to, are more than happy, because it's, like I said, to them it's an exhilarating kind of feeling. Especially if they're amateur, maybe the professionals maybe are used to it, but like I said, I got like a different kind of high from it.
Absolutely. Usually your amateur cosplayers are just there as guests of the con. And so they haven't planned or made preparations for any type of financial gain from it. If there are professional cosplayers there, like they have a booth, make sure that you ask to take their picture first, or if they have pictures available, buy one. Or if they say, yes, you can take a picture, but it costs $20 or whatever. If you want that picture, then you should pay any fees connected. And that kind of brings us to the main parts about celebrities and cosplayers, or professional cosplayers. Seeing celebrities can be expensive and time-consuming. The lines for seeing celebrities can often be long, depending on the caliber of the celebrity and on the system that the con is using to keep their celebrity safe, to keep them separated from the general public or whatever. So sometimes they'll say that they're arriving at noon, and then they get there at 1, and the line is really long. So you need to decide ahead of time, look at the roster of the convention, see what famous people or famous cosplayers are there, see what their schedule is if it's available. Decide what an autograph or picture of that person is worth to you. Name a price in your head of what you would pay to see that person, or to get that picture or get that autograph. And personally, if you arrive or you see the rates and it's overpriced, then consider if you think that that person's autograph is worth what they're charging for it. To me, I always just remember that an autograph is just a person touching something with their hands.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say that you always remembered that time. I think it was our first con.
I think it was our first.
I think maybe Age of Ultron had just come out or something like that. Jeremy
Was
Renner
it Age
was
of
selling...
Ultron or... Oh, I think you might be right, because when Avengers 1 came out, I was still in Alpine.
Yeah, that was like 2012.
Yeah.
Jeremy Renner was there. Kobe Smulders was there. Stan Lee was there. And I think there were other people. Maybe Mark Ruffalo. I don't remember. But Jeremy Renner was
I think Mark Ruffalo was on the roster, but then canceled.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
Jeremy Renner ended up being like...
$170.
He was the only member, quote-unquote, of the Avengers that was there. Everyone else was like side people. So yeah. Kobe Smulders was Maria Hill, and she was in How I Met Your Mother, and Stan Lee and stuff. Stan Lee had a huge line, but even he wasn't charging... I want to say it was... 175 like or 220, or it was some outrageous price.
Yeah.
just for the autograph section.
Yeah, I think Stan Lee was like $75.
That's probably
Yeah, I think it
worth
was like 70.
Oh yeah, very worth
Yeah.
it. But his line was, if you took the entire area where like all the celebrities are like sat and have all their lines and everything like that, his line was probably taking up half of that entire hall. Where they had all the other celebrities. So it was like Stanley had half of it. That line went back and forth, back and forth.
Kobe Smulders had a huge line because of How I Met Your Mother, and obviously because of her Avengers appearance also. But Jeremy Renner's line was embarrassingly short.
Yeah.
Because it was
And
expensive.
I felt
and I
bad.
really think it's because of his price.
Yeah.
Like it was. Kristen and I kept saying, "Who do you think you are?"
Robert Downey Jr.? Come on. The worst member of the Avengers here. Selling his signature for a lot of money.
Have y'all seen the lineup for GalaxyCon?
It is
is so stacked. So if y'all are listening, come out.
Yeah,
look
it's
at it right now.
insane.
Come out to see the celebrities, and of course come out to see us. But man, it's like pretty much all of Star Trek Next Generation cast, William Shatner and Walter Koenig from the original series. It's got several voice actors. Andy Serkis,
Yeah.
Mike
absolutely.
Tyson.
Vincent D'Onofrio,
Yep.
Stephen Amell.
Kristen Ritter.
You're also forgetting about Ming Na.
Yeah.
Mulan
Charlie-
herself.
Yeah, Ming Na.
Yeah.
A lot of Arrow people. Richard Dreyfuss, Giancarlo Esposito. So yeah, it's a pretty stacked list indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be pretty
I'm there
cool.
more for the voice actor.
Oh yeah, the voice of L is going to be there
Yeah.
from Death Note.
The voice of Hercules. Tate Donovan.
Has he done
Anyway.
anything since then? We're getting.
If you looked at him, you'll recognize him. He does a lot of bit parts. You'll recognize him if you saw his face.
I'm looking right at him. I've never seen this man before in my life.
Oh my god. Most face blind man in America right here, people.
Charlie Cox from Daredevil, David Boreanaz from Bones and Angel. Yeah, this is an incredible.
Yeah, so for me,
lineup.
it's all about the voice actors. That's the list I have to go through. And
Jonathan
Yeah,
Frakes.
yeah, that's what. Yeah, Jonathan Frakes, Gates McFadden,
Do you believe in curses?
LeVar Burton might be my favorite person there.
Have you ever seen a man who was so tall you remembered him? You haven't seen
No,
that?
what
Benjamin?
is that?
Jonathan Frakes was a host of a show called Stranger Than Fiction.
Okay.
And it was kind of like Twilight Zone, where you would watch a short scene and then he would tell you if the scene was true or not.
Okay.
they were all very weird.
So there are people who have compiled these into YouTube videos and TikToks of him just asking these series of ridiculous questions.
Well, there's also one where it's slowed down and he just sounds like he's drunk. Have you ever fallen off the ladder?
Yeah, that's my favorite one. I'll find it and send it to you. Ben.
Okay. Ooh, Giancarlo Esposito.
Gus Fring himself.
Yeah.
Celebrities. You should consider what seeing a celebrity is worth to you.
Yeah, budget for it.
To me, I like to just walk around the celebrity and be like, hey, I see him. Hey, I'm in the same room as Jonathan Frakes.
I like to do the
I'm
same
in the same
thing.
room as William Shatner.
That seeing like taking a picture of a celebrity is something I would pay money for, but I always manage my time so poorly that I almost always miss out. And that time I went on vacation when Ron Perlman was there, I'll never live it down.
Oh man, he's one of your heroes.
Yeah, it's a gangster, man.
So that brings us to the next item, which is panels. Some conventions will gather panels of experts on the topic or celebrities in order to speak on certain topics. For example, if GalaxyCon is full of guests from Star Trek The Next Generation, there will likely be a Star Trek The Next Generation panel where all of those actors are sitting on the same stage discussing their experience. And the same was true in Comicpalooza last year when they did the Mandalorian panel.
Ooh, yeah.
Because Ming-Na, Giancarlo Esposito, Carl Weathers, and Katie Sackhoff. So they'll gather these people all from the same franchise or from the same thing in order to talk about their experience. If you attend a panel, then all of the rules for being a good audience member at a live show apply. If you've ever been to a play or been to the movies, then you should do the same thing if you attend a panel. You should silence your phone. And if you do need to talk on your phone, you should leave the room. You should stay quiet and seated so that people around you can watch and listen. And if they allow questions, get in line and keep your questions short and relevant to the topic. If they are there to talk about The Mandalorian, don't ask Ming-Na about ER.
Yeah, or Mulan.
Because that's not what she's there to promote. If all of the backdrop pictures behind her at her little booth are full of Mandalorian stuff, then that's probably what she's there to promote. There are not only celebrity panels, but I know at Comicpalooza there's panels for all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, the 501st Legion. I love their panels.
Yeah, so this is like a cosplay panel where they talk about their experience and things they've done. There are writing panels where groups of authors will sit in their room together and talk about some strategies for their writing. There was a panel for Dungeon Masters.
Yeah.
And it talked about how to create certain types of adventures. So whether the room is big or small, all of those rules for attending any live show apply. Clap when it's appropriate, silence your phone, stay seated so that other people can see. And again, if they allow questions, get in line or raise your hand, be respectful, wait to be called on, and keep your questions short and irrelevant to the topic. You want to add anything about panels?
I wish I went to more.
Yeah. Usually I spend so long on the dealer floor looking at everything, and then when I get to the schedule, I'm like, oh, that looks really cool. It was this morning. Or, ooh, that's really cool. It was yesterday.
Is the information about panels available ahead of time?
Usually they are. Because, and here's another weird thing about cons, a lot of time panelists have to pay the convention for their panel.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what Comicpalooza is. They'll send out calls and say, if you have ideas for panels that you want to host.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about like celebrities showing up.
Yeah, usually not the celebrity ones. But a lot of the smaller panelists are there because they have a product of some kind.
Gotcha.
So they'll schedule a panel, talk about their product for 30 minutes in a hope that you'll follow them or you'll buy their product with them. I know Timothy Zahn, the author of the Thrawn series, like, he does panels, and then he returns to his booth on the dealer floor.
The schedule is already up on their website, by the way, for GalaxyCon for all 3 days. So
I'll make sure to add this in the episode description, just the main GalaxyCon website. So that brings us to the last major category that I've decided to label experiences. And this, of course, is going to vary depending on the type of con you're attending. For us, when we talk about these pop culture cons, one section of experiences is like product testing. Some vendors will make their products available for you to test. So they'll have prototype versions or versions of their product available in a separate area of the convention, and then they'll say this product is available at booth blank. At Comicpalooza in Houston, there are board game and role-playing game rooms where you can test out games and even have other people teach games to you. I went there one evening after the dealer floor had closed, and there were hour-long sessions for Dungeons & Dragons, Pathfinder 2.0, Savage Worlds, and you could just sign up on the roster in the upstairs room, and then you would show up and they would give you a character to play. So basically, it's like a really short 1 hour long lesson on how to play. So it might have one combat and a couple skill checks on the way to it and stuff like that. I remember in years past, there were sections of Comicpalooza where you could paint miniatures, where they had lots of free miniatures available, and you could literally just pick one up, grab a paintbrush, and use the paints that were scattered all over the tables in order to start going. And they would have people walking around saying, do you want a quick lesson on some steps to miniature painting? When I went last spring in Comicpalooza upstairs, there was a collectible gallery, and it had things like from movie sets and stuff upstairs. Did y'all see this last year?
No, I pretty much never leave the dealer floor.
It was well, this was after the dealer floor had closed. I think you and Mom went out to dinner or something. Yeah. But I just went upstairs because I wanted to see what else was there, and there were like things that had been on certain movie sets. There was an art exhibit of people who had made famous artworks out of Legos. So there was one that was like a really famous Martin Luther King Jr. picture.
Oh yeah,
Except it was layered out of Legos.
that's awesome. The Lego exhibit
Yeah,
at Comic Palooza is always really cool.
Yeah.
Oh, it's nuts how like elaborate and extravagant they are.
Yeah. Shout out to Jeff Schroeder, who is always at Comic Palooza doing Lego stuff. So yeah, it's really, really cool. There are also contests that you can go to watch, or of course, if you're in that circuit, then you can attend. I have watched Super Smash Brothers tournaments. Randy, do you remember a couple years ago when there was a League of Legends college tournament going on?
Oh yeah, I relive that all the time.
That was so much fun because there were bleachers set up. And
Yeah, I think I was there for that too.
were you there for
We
that
had,
too?
I think we had those little like noise balloon things.
Yes,
that you
that's
slap
exactly
together.
right. They had those balloon sticks that you could bang together to clap really loud. And the bleachers were pretty much empty for this particular match. So we went in there, we started cheering at the plays that we're making, and there was a guy with a TV camera. Maybe he was live streaming or something, but he kept showing us because we were, of course, making a ton of noise for this tournament.
Showing some excitement for it.
Showing some excitement.
Rooting for, what was it? Go South Polytech University of Minnesota.
Yeah, I'll never remember. They were small, online campuses or something.
Online campuses.
Cosplay contests.
Oh yeah, those are fun.
There was a karaoke room upstairs.
There was a burlesque one, you remember?
There was a burlesque, that's right. Yeah, Derek.
At the after hours.
Oh, I missed it. That would have been a lot of fun.
I went to
Instead, I
a
got
comedy
food
sports
poisoning.
show. So it was like an improv comedy sketch. They did a show called Ampersand where they just said, we're going to do the story of Star Wars A New Hope, except for all of these little bits and pieces that we're going to get from the audience. So instead of a moisture farm, Luke's uncle owns what? And somebody was like, an Applebee's. And then they kind of redo the entire show in that way. It is a ton of fun. And so that brings me to the next thing, contests and shows. Sometimes you can just find really cool performances of people showing how deep they are in whatever fandom you're at. Same rules as panels. Be a good audience member, clap when it's appropriate, don't ruin the experience for anybody else. What do you guys want to add about experiences or game testing or anything like that?
I mean, it's a lot of fun. It's an experience. Well, I mean, yeah, we're talking about experiences, but I know I've been up there a couple times. We played games together. We played some kind of like dinosaur bone digging game.
I remember that. Yeah, I forgot what it was called.
Ton of it's like Great Adventure.
The Great Dinosaur Rush.
Something like that. Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just fun to be around people who are.
They have whole rooms of One Night Ultimate Werewolf.
Yeah.
Yeah, just people who are like collectively like excited about the same things you are.
Yeah,
it's nice.
It is wild.
I will say this too: if you are in a game that is competitive, like Magic or Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh, one of those types of things, conventions are an interesting place to get into a competitive scene that's bigger than your local gaming store without being...
Yeah, you'll run into lots of strategies that you don't see in your local meta.
Yeah. I think in a previous episode I've mentioned how I've competed at Grand Prix and bigger tournaments for Magic. But I remember when we were growing up, you mentioned that convention we went to where we learned Land of Og was a trading card convention. And now that you mention it, I remember playing Pokemon there. And we
You and I brought our Pokemon decks, and you got first, and I got second.
So that was a chance for us. Like, before that, we'd only ever played competitively at the mall, with the 20 people who showed up there. And so this was a bigger event where we had a chance to test our competitive chops. So if you're interested, you heard them mention League of Legends, you heard them mention Super Smash Brothers and stuff like that. If you think that competitive gaming is something you might be interested in, and you've never gotten to play with more than a few people because, who gets to play competitively, a convention is a good place to see if you actually are ready or if you're suffering from Dunning-Kruger.
Yeah, if you just think you're good because the only person you play against is your little brother.
Right, exactly. That's a fun thing to do. And then one of the things that happens at panels and shows is some of the times the people who put on those panels are the professional gamers. right? This is especially true at Magic Fest and that sort of convention, or where it's more focused on gaming. But you will often find panels by the creators of games or the people on the Pro Tour or people who are sponsored. And those people will really get you thinking about various strategies and what that kind of life is like being a professional gamer. They're really fascinating to listen to for me, listening to things about game design and gameplay.
Yeah, that's something that I really enjoy. I bought the book Next Level Magic.
Oh, yeah.
Because it looked at the game almost like a science. And it was talking about the specific moves that you could make. Let me see who wrote that. Patrick Chapin.
Are we talking about Magic the game or Magic the
Magic
stuff?
the game.
Okay.
Yeah, Magic the Gathering.
That game we play every so often.
A literal 270-page book called Next Level Magic, and it breaks the game apart into certain competitive concepts.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome. I'll let y'all borrow it if you want, because I've read it already.
If anybody in our audience ever goes to the World Board Gaming Championship, it's held every year in Pennsylvania, usually in late summer. It actually just happened a couple weeks ago. Now that I'm a teacher, I don't get to go very often because it's always right in the middle of training and stuff. But I've been before, and they have panels on how to teach games, similar to a recent episode of ours, where they will talk about games that these masters of these various games, or sometimes the creators of these games, will have panels on how to teach these games. So the educational value of going to these conventions is off the chart and can really improve the quality of your hobbies, whatever they happen to be.
Yeah, if you're looking for a way to get deeper into whatever your hobby already is, a convention is a great way to do that, because you're going to meet a ton of people. You're going to see whatever your hobby is in a new way, because somebody has transformed it and done something different with it. Say you love Pokemon. There's somebody in Artist Alley who's done something with Pokemon that you've never seen before. I always love artwork that takes classic, bubbly, clean Pokemon artwork and turns it into something that's really gritty and realistic, so that Pokemon are full of moles and hair and wrinkles and stuff. That stuff is always really interesting to me. So the same is going to be true no matter what your hobby is. There's always that one booth at Comic Palooza of all these different pop culture figures sitting on the toilet reading stuff. Yeah. Y'all remember that one?
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
Yeah. Well, Derek, if you slowed down a little bit, then you would see.
Yeah, Derek, it's a huge booth.
I can't.
It's a huge booth every year. So there's Darth Vader sitting on the toilet, Batman sitting on the toilet,
Goku going Super Saiyan sitting on the toilet, just struggling over there. So
yeah. Okay, and now before we end our podcast today, we have our segment. News from the Warford. Our post this week comes from Reddit RRPG. We took one from a Magic Reddit last time. This is just from a role-playing subreddit in general. It says, how can I accommodate players with different mindsets of the game? And the example that they give is a role-playing focus versus an objective focus. People trying to get to the next story beat or to the next combat and not wanting to waste time. So they describe that in their gaming group, the poster has this desire to do a little more roleplay, more character-driven conversations, such as, and the example they give, is to have discussions of making their plans, say to fight the big evil bad guy. Let's make those plans in character instead of out of character, where we talk specifically about our abilities and our skill numbers and the number of damage we're likely to deal in a certain situation or whatever. He says we could have that conversation in character. And he says he's brought it up with some of his players that some players are just more objective focused. They want to reach the next story beat. They don't want to waste time. So rather than acting out making their plan, they just want to make a plan and just go into the fight knowing what they're going to do and kind of skip over the part where their characters actually talk about it. So their question is, what can I do to try to accommodate or mediate these differing or opposite approaches to the game? We talked a couple weeks ago about Session 0 and setting expectations for your group and for your game. Here, it seems they've got a game going, but they have different expectations or different desires of what they want to get out of it. What do you think?
So I guess it depends on who you're playing with. If you're playing with friends, like let's say we're playing together with our wives and friends. It's not like I can't. It's not like we can have a different game where like, oh, we only play with the wives who want to play role play, and we only play with the boys who want to do like objective fights and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You have to find some kind of balance there of maybe we do some role play, a fight, and then like some wrap up role play, or maybe do a role play session now and a fight session next, and switch off like that.
Yeah.
But if it's strangers, I feel like you can just find people who are excited about role play or excited about fighting. There are more people out there that are like you.
Yeah.
And it might just be more, I don't know, I guess better for everyone to just, stick with the people who feel the same way.
Yeah. There are lots of people who are playing D&D now by just going to online forums and looking for groups who are either looking for a game master or looking for players. And then they just sign up for that list, they show up, and then they immediately start playing. So a lot of groups have the issue we really talked about in episode 1, where they're not friends first, and they think that just playing the game is where they're going to get all the value from. If you are here to only play a game, and the game that you want is more roleplay focused, then yeah, I think you could probably find some other players who are also more roleplay focused. But if you're playing with friends or looking to make friends, or looking to make these people your friends, then a little compromise is in order. In our last session, or in our last game, and I talked about this a couple episodes ago, Randy, we really liked how you would have sessions that were tailored for certain people, and who was going to be the main character of a certain quote-unquote episode of the game. And maybe the DM of this game could do that too. Like Derek said, have some role-playing heavy sessions and some combat or objective heavy sessions.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. So like whenever I was reading over this situation here, I guess like my opinion, it said that the players who are objective based don't want to waste time. And I'm thinking, I feel like a lot of times even when you go into meta talk and you're not in-game character talking, that still takes a lot of time. So if those people are wanting to be quicker about it, it would help them with getting to the next beat faster, but it may also help the roleplay person by basically putting a timer, not giving someone or a group 20 minutes to figure out their strategy for, how they're going to plan this ambush. It's like, if the DM added urgency to the story, it's like your characters, here's some people walking up, it's like you get a minute and a half, boom, go. And you have to tell us what your character's doing, or, they have to talk in person real quick. There's not a lot of time to metagame. I think that could be a compromise.
I love that idea, to create in-game urgency that prevents them from figuring things out down to the round.
When I first read this post, I was thinking, man, just if y'all are wanting to play different games, right? Have a game focused on role playing with people who want to play that game. It is very possible that one group doesn't know the joy of the other one, and I do think that, as y'all said before, if these people are friends, it'd be really good for them to accommodate each other and try it and buy into it. We were talking about this in a different context before the show started, but one of the best ways to have fun in any context is to buy into what's happening, right? Don't be too cool for school. Don't be looking for reasons why whatever is happening is wrong before you've tried it. Try it thinking that this is going to be fun and this will work. And then if it isn't fun or it doesn't work, well, now you know that you gave it the best shot. You gave it the chance it deserves. You know more about yourself and you know more about the game or the situation or whatever the situation is. And it sounds like if these people are friends, they should try each other's style if they haven't already, right? The person who wants to roleplay more should just go in thinking, I'm just going to try to achieve objectives today. And they might find that, hey, actually, if we treat this like it's a raid on WoW or something, right, where, no one's in there going, I'm going to be... Well, I mean, I guess a few people are, but for the most part, they're not sitting there going, "I'm a big bad orc. I don't plan. I smash." Right? The healer and the tank,
Leroy Jenkins.
right? Even the dumbest characters in that situation are metagaming, right? They're sitting there talking to each other
Yeah.
and planning out the raid and doing all this stuff. And if you get in the mindset that that's the game we're playing and I'm going to have fun doing that, yeah, maybe it's not the best experience you could have, but you could still have fun. And likewise, the people who are like, hey, the game we're playing is one in which I can't look at you and know how strong you are, right? I can see you've got big muscles, but I don't know that that equates to a 17 strength. And I don't know that whether or not your magically enhanced strength is better than I've been working at, in the cement factory every day for, since I was 12 strength.
I've been playing pickleball for years, buddy.
Right?
My paddling arm is strong.
We don't know. And so I think a DM could approach it with hey, you can't metagame because your characters don't know the answers. And you can either choose to talk to each other in character and strategize that way, or you can simply not strategize. Make your choice, and we're going to do it. And I think a lot of those objective-driven players may come around on that and say, well, I'd rather strategize than not, so I guess I'm Bubba Orc today. Me smash. You cool with that?
Derek, what did you say your orc's name was in our game? Zergo?
Yeah, it
Helm
just
Smasher's my father.
Yeah. I haven't come up with a good name for him yet. So when he earns whatever title, that'll be it.
Yeah. Benjamin, I think that's a really good insight. I think a lot of first-time role players or beginners to the hobby will see people acting out or putting on a voice, and they get immediately very self-conscious. Like, if I'm not good at improv or if I'm not a good actor, then I'm just going to sound ridiculous. But it's only the other people in the group.
Yeah.
And again, I kind of have to keep coming back to this. If the other people in the group are your friends, then it shouldn't matter.
Yeah.
If the other people in the group are strangers, well, maybe it shouldn't matter. They're strangers. And if they don't like the voice you put on, they can leave the chat room, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Or I guess the worst thing that could happen is, yes, they do make fun of you, and then you leave the game.
Yeah, which isn't pleasant, but
it's not pleasant, but you're out somebody who you wouldn't have liked anyway. Like so the risks and the losses that you face really are not that much if you're going to fake what you like.
Yeah.
If you're going to fake your enjoyment one way or the other, then the other people aren't worth their effort.
And if you're listening to this and you're one of those people who would make fun of a stranger for playing your game, you need to look inside yourself and try to figure out what's going on with you that you would do that, right? It's not acting, it's an RPG. So let them play it, and yeah, they're not going to win an Oscar, but so what, right? So don't do that. That's not how you get people to play with you.
And it's called a role-playing game. We're there to play a role, and if you want to play a video game, then you can do that too.
Yeah.
But this is a medium where we've chosen to sit around and storytell together. So you gotta be more accepting if you're that person.
I will say this: you mentioned the people who are maybe a little self-conscious that they're not good at improv, and have chosen to channel that into being objective driven. I would encourage you to think about the fact that when you are strategizing outside of the game, when you are metagaming, you are still improvising. Like, the only difference is that you put on a voice and change your vocabulary. Maybe try that.
Yeah, it can be a lot of fun.
Yeah, because metagaming, you are improvising. That's literally what you're doing. Is you're sitting down going, okay, I got this information, I got these stats, you have those stats. Let's make a plan. And in the moment, you are coming up with something that you had no clue of before you started that conversation. It is improv, literally, right then. You're just doing it as yourself. And I will say that the feedback, right? If you do it constantly, you'll get better at being in character.
Yep, that's true. I used to say this to students all the time. If you say that you can't do it, you will be right. You will never get better at it if you insist that you're not good at it and don't try.
Yeah, and a gaming situation is one of the lowest stakes places to try something like this.
That's something we bring up all the time. I think it's come up almost every episode, that there's no stakes. You're not losing anything by playing games with people.
Yeah, you got nothing to lose and a world to win.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anything anybody wants to add to this post, anything we can tell this poster, I'd say you're in for a good time if you can find some compromise, or if, like Benjamin was saying, you and your other players just really dig into what the other side's doing. All of you can game a little harder, I think.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys. That was a wonderful news from the Warfront. Like always, I look forward to the next. Any last thoughts? Benjamin, are you ready for a word of wisdom this week?
Yeah, I've actually got 2 words of wisdom.
Two. Have fun. Are those the 2?
No, but those are excellent words of wisdom. Maybe I should skip this week. No. Okay. No.
Derek and Randy, any last words before we send it off to Benjamin?
No comments or whatever, but I got my own little word of wisdom. Join a union.
Join
but
a
not if
union.
You, but not
All
if
right.
you work for Eldorado Gaming.
Yeah, we're union busters. Back out.
Well, we only have like literally 3 employees.
Right.
I'll
be the president of the union.
And they better not be unionizing. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, word of wisdom time from Benjamin.
The first word of wisdom. It'll give you a +5 bonus to wisdom. Come check us out at GalaxyCon Austin, September 1st through the 3rd at the Austin Convention Center. I can't think of a better decision you can make for yourself than that. All right, second word of wisdom. Conventions in general, right? You are listening to this podcast because you have a hobby and you have friends. And regardless of what it is, if it's sports, if you throw yourself into your work, if you are interested in games, movies, comics, music, whatever, pickleball. There are very few things in your life that are more rewarding than finding people in that hobby, in that profession, people like you, and just diving into it. Right? Just throw yourself into something that you can surround yourself by passion and experience, creativity, camaraderie, right? All the people that make your hobby what it is are there at a convention. And you have the opportunity to experience that for a little bit of money and a little bit of time, right? It's not free, but I would say that if you find yourself with the disposable income to go further into something that brings you joy, then I would say make it a priority to go surround yourself with people, and every once in a while go to one of these big events, right? A convention is truly a one-of-a-kind experience where you get to surround yourself by something that brings you joy, and I say go do it.
So true. Bring a friend, bring somebody who you want to get into it.
Oh, yeah.
Bring your parents. If you're still young, maybe you're a teenager and some of these are a little expensive for you, and you're in the right position, get your parents, and then don't leave your parents at the convention. Walk with them and show them all of the cool stuff that you love.
Yeah.
We talked about in episode 1 that your family has the potential to be some built-in friends that you can talk with all the time.
Oh, yeah. If you're starting to get into a serious relationship, you've maybe gone on a few dates, this is an excellent date opportunity because you can really find out about a person's character by how they treat your hobby.
Let them know how much of a weirdo you are. See how they
react.
Yeah, give them a little glimpse behind the curtain.
Fly the freak flag.
Tell them get out now.
See if they'll cosplay.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah, me and my girlfriend did that at our first convention. I was Jason. She was Crystal Lake Camp Counselor.
That is so funny, Randy.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. If you have any questions or comments, remember that you have discovered this baby podcast and you can get in on the ground floor. You want us to know you by your first name? You can leave comments on YouTube, any of the podcast apps where you found us, or you can message us directly at mymythicalmeta@eldoradogaming.com. Thank you so much for listening, and as always, Benjamin, Derek, and Randy, thank you so much for being my great friends. Good night.
Night.
Good night.
This episode was sponsored by Eldorado Gaming. Use promo code META for 10% off your first order. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. This episode was edited by me, Travis Konishek, and our intro and outro music is by Tyler Heath of the Oh Hellos.